Ви готові почути першу доповідь сьогодні? Власне, це кіноут-доповідь. Так? Так, супер. Скажіть «Hello, Bert». Hello, Bert. Please welcome on stage. Yeah, you can start. Probably we won't have slides, but we will do our best, okay?
Okay. Добрий ранку. That's the only thing I know in Ukrainian.
Yay, добрий ранок!
Good morning, everyone. I was here last year talking about security monitoring, and I had a lot of questions afterwards. What to do before you start with security monitoring. So when I got a request to be here again, I decided to do all my lessons I had for the last 10 years, starting up security operations around Europe. I'm doing security operations centers for 10 years now, in all kinds of senses, in all countries. And the funny thing is, I'm doing this for big companies, and everybody thinks it's good. Everything is organized at a big company. The truth is, sometimes a little bit different. So this is one of the reasons I'm using my slides as a heads up for myself. But, well, I'm going to start about the 10 major steps you have to do before you can ever going to start with cybersecurity. Oh, great. That's good. Because if you don't do those steps, it makes no sense to have security monitoring in place. You don't do cybersecurity at all. And those steps are crucial to be a success, to be protected against the cybersecurity threats. So, it works. I started this morning by reading some stuff. I flew here to Wednesday. And the first thing I realized that also Boeing has some issues with software. And even more concerning, I read this morning, is about this one. It's the ILS. It's be able to hack the ILS systems on airplanes. Something you don't know, if the plane needs to land, it's going to be computer organized that do the landing on the right track. It can be hacked easily. $600 and you can hack it. I have to fly back tomorrow, so please, if anybody wants to do some testing, do it afterwards, please. So, number 10. First thing we need to start about is about network security. I'm not going to talk about that you need a firewall. I'm not going to talk about that you need a VPN connection or whatsoever. I'm not going to tell you you need a password. I think everybody knows that multi-factor authentication is much better than having one password. I'm more concerning if you have a firewall, do you maintain your firewall properly? Do you add rules to your firewall, but do you remove rules as well? Anyone here is a firewall operator. Do you remove your firewall rules after a while because an application is decommissioned? You do? And do you maintain it every month, every day, every week, every year? Very good. Since one of the funniest things I had in the last 5 years, I was in a big company. I shouldn't have picked it now, but and I saw a list of 154 rules in a firewall, and the last one was the most interesting one. Open port, any, destination, any, open. Useless stuff. Throw it away, bullshit. So, and I'm Dutch, sorry, I'm very direct. This is what happens with firewalls. If you don't maintain it properly, you don't need cybersecurity. If you don't maintain your systems, it doesn't make sense. If you have blacklisted all those IP addresses, and you never maintain them, somehow you will be disconnecting the whole internet. Maybe that's the idea, but it will never work. Maintain your IPS and your IDS, because if your IPS is creating noise, you will be very, very busy. And I think the biggest problem right now is, I heard yesterday some of the guys talking about honeypots, decoys, real good stuff. But the fun thing is, if one of my customers, they hacked the honeypot and they abused that one. That was really funny. Your security monitoring is crucial for your security premise and your perimeter, but it's not a box. It's about knowledge. Do you have the knowledge to maintain your network security properly? And what I see these days is people buy boxes and they think, I'm safe. I got my silver bullet, I'll do the right thing. But it isn't. It's not about the box. I'm not interested if you're using a checkpoint or Palo Alto or whatsoever. I have my preferences, but it's more about maintenance. You have to maintain your network security properly on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. Every time you change something in your network, change your network security parameter. If you don't, never start. Be really a target. Also about the known signatures. There's a lot of signatures around the globe. There's some open source one, I told last year about this, but there's also some buy stuff. You can get some from the NCSC as well in the Netherlands. I think the Interpol is sharing this. Use those signatures, but remove them if they're not necessary. I saw an IDS last year, and it has so many signatures that we had 20 years ago, Black Arthurs. I think some old guys will know what I'm talking about. If you still have those signatures in your IDS, massive, really, you're out of range. I'm getting old, but the IDS is old as well. Oh. Number 9. It's about malware protection. And I see people installing all those malware protection stuff based on, we have to be careful. But what's your policy? What's the relevancy? What's your awareness? It's about the users. Because if they use your malware protection somewhere in your proxy, but if they're at home, they press everything what's in their email, you're still in a dangerous situation. What's the behavior of the user? So if your malware protection maybe fails, your behavior analysis, your user behavior analytics are really important. So malware protection doesn't stop with a tool on your laptop, doesn't stop with a tool somewhere on your server. It starts by a tool and then the maintenance. Again, it's about knowledge. I have to go fast, I heard. And this is one of my most special one, education. And I'm not talking about certifications. I got my certifications. I think the majority of you have as well. But you are here because you want to know more. And one of the things I'm always talking about is about train. What happened in worst case scenario? You're here, but your colleagues are at the office. What happens if the phone starts ringing at the office and you're not there? Your colleague picks up the phone and somebody from the customer department says, we can't access our CRM database anymore. Do you know what's going on? And the guy says, all right, let's do some investigation, but you're here, you're not available. And the next phone call you got is someone from a newspaper who says, we heard somewhere on the internet, your database is being compromised. Is there some customer data published? What will happen? What will be your answer? Anyone? The reporters on the phone give you a call. We heard some customer data is published. What will be your answer? Suggestions, anyone? Everything was under control. Really, it's your first answer. My first question would be, who are you? Are you really a reporter? Can you give me your number? I will hand it over to our PR department, public relations. You are not the communication channel. You talk to the reporters. This is why you talk about cybersecurity. Practice a crisis. Suggest a crisis starts now. Friday morning, 10:30, we're starting a cybersecurity crisis. Drop down everything. What will the management do? What will your IT department do? What will all the guys do if something occurs? Who's going to talk to the press? Practice cybersecurity, because I had all those cybersecurity challenges, and they said, Bert, we have to be in the office on Tuesday. We're going to do a cybersecurity training. Yeah, sure. But the most crucial part is when you're in the office, you got a headache from last night, and then they started cybersecurity, everything went down. Practice. The worst case scenario, practice. That's the only thing you know if everybody is capable to give head to a cybersecurity incident. And the fun thing is, the majority of all the managers don't know what to do. Where's the instruction manual? What to do? Who's in charge? Where's our IT guy? He's sitting somewhere in an exhibition from NoNameCon. Oh, panic. That happens. Because your most crucial people are not available. Train the cybersecurity. Do not train about system just for the certification. Do the cybersecurity training based on incidents. I'm trying to get to monitoring. I've been in a company, and then we bought a new firewall. It was an F5, actually. It was really funny. Somebody said, well, we got a new F5 firewall. We installed it. It's working good. So on a Friday morning, I was not that busy. I said, all right, show me the dashboard. What's currently the occasion, how it works. And the fun thing was, after 3 weeks, nobody had a password. They didn't know how to look at the dashboard. They didn't know if it was even working. You got all those equipment, you got dashboards, you got reports, you got alerts. It's not a box. It's do something. It got reports themselves. You don't need a security monitoring for that. But the truth is, everybody is busy, all kinds of stuff, and they don't look at these dashboards. They don't know what's going on. And a lot of customers, big customers, buy a lot of stuff, all those proxies, all those dashboards, all those stuff. They don't look at it. If you don't look at this, why would you use security monitoring? What will you do with incident management? Is this the best solution you could do? This is one of my favorite pictures, actually. I see it once in Japan and said, yeah, that will work. But if your system sucks, maybe this is the best idea you can do. Your incident management should be trained. Your mandatory time to detect, your mandatory time to respond. What are your most critical procedures? Who's in charge? Who should be called? Who should be responsible? How do you measure the quality of your service around your network? Not about praying. Know your stuff. Know what's in your stuff. Later on in the presentation, we'll tell you more about what's really important to know about your network. It's about knowledge. If this is your behavior, pray that something works. We know that from the screens, what happened this morning. It happens, but this is a temporary situation. And a crucial one, your inventory. Let's call it the CMDB. Who has a CMDB fully operational, 100%? May I see hands? That's a really small amount. Your inventory is your most crucial part. Your CMDB is not an asset management. It's easy to do a discovery on your network, what's in your network, how many routers, how many servers. But when I do a security monitoring, my first question is, can I see the architecture design? Can you show how many Windows servers you have, how many Linux servers you have, how many routers you have, how many firewalls you have? And who are the owners? Who should be called if something occurs? Who's the maintenance guy? If you cannot tell me all those details, you're not in control. If you're not in control, well, what will you do in the next step when something occurs? I was at a customer and I said, can you tell me how much servers you have? It was a big, big customer. And he said, I think 2,000 servers. Really? When we were finished with the Security Operations Center, it were 6,000 already, and there were still a lot of servers not under monitoring. We had 160 ADs. They expected to have 23. It's rather a mistake. Who can maintain this stuff? Enterprise companies. So what happened to the small companies? Do your maintenance on this stuff? And your latest architecture design. What's your most recent architectural design from your network? Month? A year? 2 years? 5? Yeah, you are good, actually. I see some hands always. What's your last update on your architecture design? A month? Really? Wow, that's impressive. When I go in companies and I see designs and it says the latest update is 2015, oh dear, that's really, really complicated. I will not start a security operations center in these companies. Actually, it makes no sense because you're looking at something you cannot predict. Does anyone recognize this picture? It's really funny. It's about a military center what was secret somewhere in Afghanistan. And people were using an app on their phone and on their watches to run around Strava. What are people doing with the mobile phones? There, you're hiding, you're being secret operations somewhere in Afghanistan, and people are using phones and they're publishing your position, publishing information. I see people running around with phones with easy passwords and all email on it. What will you expect from me as a cyber defense specialist if you don't take care of your own information. Mobile management. You got perfect tools for this. Install it on your laptop, and on your phone, and your iPad, and all this stuff. And do a policy management. What is allowed to install? Strava. Perfect opportunity. What do you do with your mobile management? Are people walking around with the mobile phones with your business email in it without protection? Anyone? Anyone has an idea that this is really necessary? Because if you're protecting your network environment, but don't do it with mobile phones. In Europe, we have those European Union GDPR stuff. And what we're doing in this stuff is that people are collecting all these emails, crucial information, and everything is still stored on their phone. Absolutely outrageous. Who has access to your phone? Do you share your phone with your kids? It's really funny, I saw it sometimes. Not even funny anymore these days. A lot of these apps are sharing your information, your contact list, your phone list to anyone. This is a crucial one as well. What are users allowed to do? I'm really curious if I can tell this, but there's a telco company in the Netherlands, and they use the same password on routers for 8 years now. There's a reason for that. It's hard-coded. And that's also one of the issues they have, supplier management. If a supplier needs to access data, they do some maintenance, if you outsourced it, then your supplier should be able to do some investigation on that one, to do some maintenance on it. What is your supplier allowed to do? It's a really funny one. I'm in the middle of some projects right now with OT management as well, the PCD environments, and you see that all those supplier management, that's a real big issue right now, because we make policies about the company, but what is your supplier allowed to do? Do you have a stepping stone that can access the company only by one entrance, or what you see in the PCD and OT networks, the industrial systems? The people have a GSM connection to the network because it's so complicated to use your stepping stone. Yes, there's a reason for that one. What are the agreements? What's the responsibility from a supplier? If you don't take care of your supplier management, and I think you know this because you had some incidents here in Ukraine as well with suppliers, take care of that, because it makes no sense to start with cybersecurity if you don't take care of your privileges. What are your users allowed to do? What can they modify? What if somebody got a promotion? Do you remove his rights from his previous job? One of the biggest mistakes I see. And last but not least, it's about your privacy. What are they allowed to see? The world has changed, especially in Europe. Social media. The easiest one is for hackers is not only about the tools. The easiest one for a hacker to get access to a network is to fool the people. And you see that by sharing all kind of information to a company. If you tell somebody, we are working with Splunk, we are working with Cisco firewalls, we're working with the routers, all your information you share on LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatsoever, can be used to call the service desk. Hey, I heard there's some issue with your Cisco router. Can you connect me to the right guy? And you get connection with him. Quite easy. You don't need a tool to do so. They will give you access. If you say, hey, I see that the password has changed. No, or it hasn't changed. Yeah, I see that it's changed. It was, and they saved the password, and they give you the right password. It's unbelievable in these days. Social media are giving too much information, what you do, where you work. And you can see it in my profile as well on LinkedIn. I'm only announcing what I've done afterwards, not when I work there. So when you look at my profile right now, you only see my own company, but not the current customer I work for. There's a reason for that. That's too much information. I can tell it later on. So you will see what I did previously. The last one was someone with beer. It was really nice. And now I'm in a different sector, different drinks. Social media can share too much information. Be careful what you share. A lot of information. It's not about the name of your dog only. It's all about your information of your customer, what kind of equipment you use. And maybe you're proud on all your certifications from Cisco. Perfect. But be careful what you share on social media. And this is the crucial one, all about how to convince the management how to deal with cybersecurity. The most crucial one, how you start security monitoring. The most crucial one about starting with cybersecurity anyway, in a company, it's the crucial question you do to the management. What's your risk appetite? Are you able to survive a cyber attack? What's the acceptable loss? If your company is worth 30 million euros and you got a loss of 4 million, you will survive. If you got be compromised, there was a big company a month ago, he was compromised and he was saying, we got some technical issues, we got everything under control. Sure, man. But all his customer data was stolen. And he keeps saying, oh, it's not a problem. But at a certain moment, you can go bankrupt. In the Netherlands, a lot of companies had gone bankrupt. Small companies, not the biggest, small companies. Just easy, ordinary guys creating some nice stuff, having a very profitable company, but at a certain level, their customer data got stolen. What are your financial consequences? If you know your financial consequences, you know what your budget will be to do cybersecurity. That's a tricky one. Because all the management will say, well, we are not a target. Why will they attack us? Especially in the Netherlands, I see a lot of companies saying, well, I'm not concerned about that one. Cybersecurity, how many times it happens? It's not a matter you get hacked. The only question is when they will try to hack you. Are you able to mitigate the risk? It's about business continuity. And the next big topic for the next coming years will be the OT networks, the technical, the industrial systems. Because they're just starting, actually. Because it's not about Windows, it's not about Linux, it's just PLC systems. They don't have protection and security in the mindset. So OT will be a really pain in the ass for a lot of companies. I don't know the situation in Ukraine, but I can hardly imagine that this will maybe the same issue, maybe bigger than it is in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands is already big. So making the financial consequences, acceptable loss, equity, it's about when you see a system, you have to do the calculations, the most critical part from system. You have to define what is the budget to do your cybersecurity before you go on. If you know your budget, then you know you can start with better security, more people, more training, get more knowledge on board, and maybe security monitoring as a next step. That's why I always start with, do you invest that much money on cybersecurity at the beginning before you start with security monitoring? Because if you spend, well, not even that much amount of money on cybersecurity, on the tooling and the training, why would you do security monitoring? In the Netherlands, you start around €1 million a year doing security monitoring internally. That's a start. Keep in mind what the cost will be. Maybe you have to outsource it, but it's expensive as well. That's what a lot of companies, there's even one company here was doing some outsource managing on security monitoring. The risk appetite is the most crucial question. So I hope that if you go back to the office on Monday, after finishing the beers, of course, afterwards, then one of the first questions will be to the management, what are we going to do about cybersecurity? What's the budget? What's the acceptable loss? What's my risk appetite? How do you continue with cybersecurity? Do we take it seriously? Because the budget says a lot how serious cybersecurity is taken in a company. Don't do security operations centers if you don't do the budget for cybersecurity. It makes no sense. If you accept to get bankrupt, I don't care. You have to find yourself a new job, of course, but that's it. Questions, anyone? Just an intro from what I'm doing, Ross.
Please raise your hands if you have a question. Hands, 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 ready for hands? Okay, I see a hand. Just give me a sec. A hand, hand, hand. Awesome.
Hi.
Hi.
I saw that you spoke about mobile apps and mobile phones, but you didn't cover the cloud security. And maybe you can give a hint on what are the modern threats or what you see as is the best thing in cloud security, and which vulnerabilities and threats you see here which can influence the information security the most.
So your question is about, I didn't mention about cloud security.
No, yeah, you talked about all the topics which are applied to any infrastructure. But I think that if you talk about mobile phones and mobiles, then maybe cloud security can be a separate stack that should be discussed separately also.
Is it if your environment is in the cloud?
Partially.
Partial in the cloud. Is it part of your infrastructure?
Partially also.
Are you responsible for it?
Partially.
No, it's not true. You are fully responsible. No one else. You are responsible. No one else. Because if you got hacked, the consequences for your cloud provider are massive, but the consequences for you are more important because you can get bankrupt, they can get a fine, whatever. But they will survive. You won't. So your cloud infrastructure is your responsibility. Is your cloud provider taking care of cybersecurity? Because I heard a story yesterday. I was in the presentation of Kubernetes, for example. I heard the doubts they have about Kubernetes, the issues they have, the vulnerabilities. Who's taking care of those vulnerabilities? Because we had the assumption that every cloud provider will do something about cloud security. But do they? Because that's not their primary target in commercial point of view. Maybe more, it's an addition you have to buy. But correct me if I'm wrong. Cybersecurity and security monitoring is most of the time not done by a cloud provider. Still your responsibility. Or it's part of your supplier agreement. That's how you cover it. So yeah, cloud is good. I like cloud. I like the speed of cloud because normally I have to set up a server. It takes me a week. Now I can do it in an hour. But is it good enough? You get all your policies implemented. Is that answering your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Yes.
Hand, please raise your hand. Yeah, I will see a hand here.
Если можно, я буду на русском, вы перейдете, да?
Okay, I will translate. Okay, sure.
Как вы думаете, обучение персонала основам сетевой безопасности – это не один из пунктов, который, получается, содержит всю фирму безопасности? Вы говорите просто по социальной сети?
Wait.
Yes.
Stop. So, how do you think if teaching your people in cybersecurity is actually the ground layer of cybersecurity of your company?
Yes. It's about knowledge. It's not about the tools. If you don't have the knowledge on board or outsourced properly, taking care of your cybersecurity, it's not about bugs. It's not about your car has an impact system implemented. It's about the driver, because you still have the impact. If you buy yourself a Boeing 747, you're going to fly with it, and it has some bugs on it. Who's going to take care of the tools? Because at the end, you are happy that some pilot is on board who knows what to do with your plane. And that's always my examples. I did it last year as well, planes. If you have a pilot who only flew on a Cessna plane, and then we have to fly in a 737 Boeing, good luck, really. Trust me, you don't want that. You want the best pilot in your plane when you're flying to Europe, to Amsterdam. You want the best guy who's protecting your network, taking care of the maintenance. That's a crucial one.
Thank you for answer.
Okay, any more questions? Yeah, we see a hand. Okay.
Hello. I believe that cybersecurity market is more developed in Netherlands than in Ukraine, for example. Do you feel some competition with insurance companies, for example? I'm talking about from the point business owner, when he is not sure about his security guys, can they take all these risks? And just in case he going to insurance company and said, if something will happen, you will take care about that if my guys will make their best. So maybe it's the better solution than put money in teaching all this security infrastructure, or you will just go in insurance company and they will give you all your money back.
Okay, nice question. Another one. Actually, two questions. First of all, is it better in the Netherlands than Ukraine? I don't know. What I know is that the government in the Netherlands is putting a lot of effort in our National Cybersecurity Center, who is advising companies. I heard there were some initiatives here in Ukraine, but I wouldn't wait for that one. But your next question is more fun. Insurance. And I don't know about insurance companies in Ukraine, but if you're in the Netherlands, they always have one rule somewhere in that contract who says, if you haven't updated your system properly, it's the same with your car. If you haven't updated your tires of your car, you don't have any insurance. That's the problem. We have a bank law from 2014 that if you got hacked as a company, the bank will not pay you unless you can show that you did all the installation of your updates. All the normal people like me are protected. But if you are a company and you got a fine from 1 million euros, then the bank will look at your system and says, well, it's not reasonable that we have to pay because you didn't update Windows. What's the level? So your insurance, I will never trust on that. Yes, as an additional one, but primary, take care, be responsible. You got an insurance on your car. I think the best thing you do is still get your driving lessons and get experience on it. And I hope my pilot will do tomorrow as well. Now I'm insured, of course.
Okay, so now I see a discussion. Okay.
About your example with military base, so you said that nowadays smartphones it's not secure, yeah, and more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
And one of your solutions is talk with each, military man about smartphones, how are bad they are. And somebody will delete this app, or somebody will not delete this app. And what is your solution for this problem that you can't take any smartphone from every people in this base and check what they did?
No, of course not. Mobile device management. Intune from Microsoft. Something like that.
They can't live nowadays without smartphone or even Wi-Fi. So it's.
If you have your business applications on your phone, so that business data on it, it becomes data from the company. It needs to be protected. So there are two options: or you protect your mobile phone, the company protects your phone, and maybe it's even a company phone. And you're not allowed to install a certain amount of apps. They enforce you to update apps properly. Maybe also not using certain apps. Or you're not allowed to use business data on your mobile phone. There's no alternative. It's white or black.
Or not use the phone.
Not for business.
All right. And for military, yes.
What's that?
For military men. They should not use the phone
They should not use the phone if it's not protected properly. And you should enforce, as a company, that if you have mobile data, email, communication, chats, Skype, whatsoever, cloud, Slack, if you use that, it should be protected with endpoint protection, firewall, or even malware protection. I've seen all those Android apps you can download anywhere on the earth having this information on it.
But how you will check that every phone in this base is protected properly?
You have some certificates you install on your mobile phone, and it's centrally managed with your monitoring tools.
So 100% solution is...
There's no such thing as 100% solution, but it mitigates risk. You can see if somebody installs some Chinese chat program, and I'm a little bit curious about the chat programs from China, but there are other countries as well, of course. Be careful what you install on your phone. You see Strava. If you are working in the military, that's my example I gave. They were working in the military. They do running. In all their runs around the base, what was a secure base, they had the GPS on. Why do you need a GPS on? You get lost somewhere in the desert? You have to put signs on the road. What? It's insane. It's about a mindset. If we are taking a mindset about security, then your mobile phone is one of your first access points on your data from a company point of view. So if you want to use your company data about your position, about what you use, where you are, what you're doing, who you're emailing with, be aware that if you are using Viber as a chat program, I think they use it a lot here in Ukraine. What I know from the past is Viber is uploading your whole contact list to a server. Who owns that? If you're using Facebook on your phone, what will Facebook see on your phone? I don't have Facebook on my phone. Rather not even use Facebook because I don't like it. But it's more about what are you accepting as a risk? It's a privacy risk. And if you do it on your private phone, I don't care. It's about you. But if there's company data on it, it becomes responsibility of a company. Black or white.
But you can't
Sorry.
know...
I think the point is clear, right? You can continue discussion afterwards.
Yeah.
Let's say thank you for Bert.
Good.